Hello and welcome to Chapter 3, Section 1. This is all about sequences of transformations. In Module 2, we talked a lot about individual types of transformations and what it looks like to do rigid movements. And this unit is going to combine those so that while it doesn't get more difficult, it does get a little more complicated. So we are combining rigid transformations, and really what that just does is combine the steps from the whole last module. So the whole first page talks about doing things with a computer program, and we don't need to do that. So we're going to start with Explain 1, combining rigid transformations. We are going, So to give you an example, the first one asks you to draw the image of triangle ABC after you reflect it over line L and then translate it along vector V. So let's have a look at what that looks like. So right here in the textbook, you can watch that ABC starts here. And first thing we're going to do is reflect it over line L. And that gives us this shape here, and then we're going to move it 1 up and 4 to the right, and that slides our triangle to right there. So based on this, I'm going to ask you to give it a shot. Try for example 1B on the next page and then answer questions 4 through 8. Come back when you're done. So for example B, we started with triangle ABC in the brown, and then we rotated it around point P here, 180 degrees, and that gives us ABC prime in green. And then we moved this triangle 1 up and 5 over to give us the pink triangle ABC 2, and then we flipped this triangle over line L to give us ABC 3. The answer for number 4 is yes. Rigid transformations move the shape, but they keep the size and the shape. Number 5 is yes. If I reflect and then rotate and then translate, it's going to end up in a different spot. So order does matter when you're doing different types of things. Number 6, you could do this in the reverse order, or you could reflect it vertically and translate it up. There are a lot of different ways to get to the same spot. For number 7, we started at a triangle ABC here. The first thing we did is reflect it over line L, which gives us ABC prime in pink, and then we rotated that counterclockwise 90 degrees around point P to give us ABC 2 here in green. For number 8, it's a little more complicated. We start with the brown, we move it up and to the right to the pink, then we rotate it around point P to the green, and then we slide it up and over to the blue. Then we come to combining non-rigid transformations. Non-rigid means we don't necessarily have to keep the shape. So example 2 walks us through our first transformation like this. So we start with XY in the shape of ABCD. Then we're going to dilate it. We're going to change the size and the shape. We're going to do 3 halves X and 3 halves Y. So everything we have here, we're going to multiply by 3 and divide by 2. So 2, 2. So A is here at 2, 2, and X is 2. And now it's going to be 2 times 3, which is 6 over 2, so it's 3. And 2 times 3 is 6 over 2, which is 3. So A becomes 3, 3. A prime. B is 2 comma 4. So 2 gives us 3 here, and 4 gives us 6 here. 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is B prime. C is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 4. So 6 is really 9. And 4 is really 6. 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is C prime. And D is 4, which is really 6. And 2, which is really 3. D prime. So now when we make this shape, you can see that the type of shape is preserved, but we've not only moved it, we've also made it larger. Then we're going to take this shape and we're going to rotate it. So now our xy is really negative xy, and what this is going to do is reflect it over the y-axis, so it's going to end up being on this side. So 3, 3 is really negative 3, 3. This is A2. And 3, 6 is really negative 3, 6. And there's B2. And 6, 3 is really negative 6, 3. D2. And C goes 1, 2, 3. There's C. 2. There we go. So now we've reflected. And now we're going to slide. X plus 1, y minus 2. So we're going to go from negative 3, 3 to negative 2, 1. Negative 2, 1 is A with 3 dots. B is negative 3, 6. And we're going to go to negative 2, 4. 2, 3, 4. B. 1, 2, 3. C is negative 9, 6. And we're going to go to negative 8, 4. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 4. Nope. There's our C. And D goes from negative 6, 3 to negative 5, 1. And there's D. And so here is our shape. So this long line tells you exactly what to do for each of the transformations. So I'd like you to pause here. Oh no, I wrote in my thing. That's okay. I'd like you to pause here and try B on this graph and come back when you're done. First thing we're going to do is dilate X by 3, which means we're going to make it wider, though it's not going to get any taller. And here X is 0, so that dot is going to stay where it is. This one, instead of being 2, it's going to be 6. And this one, instead of being 4, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, it's going to be 12. So this is our second dilation there. And the third one, we're going to take all of this and we're going to shrink it in half, and this one's going to, y is going to be negative. Here, for A, X is 0, so that stays put, but y is going to be, it used to be negative 2, now it's going to be positive 1. So now A obtuse is there. For B, we are at, for B, we go from -6, -4 to -3, 2. 3, 1, 2. There's B. And for C, we go from -12, -4 to -6, 2. So our new triangle is here. Give this a try. Do numbers 9 through 12. That gives you some reflection thinking questions and some try it yourself questions. Pause here and come back when you're done. For number 9, you can dilate by 1/2 and then translate 2 to the left, because this is the opposite of 2. And for 10, the coordinate notation goes from xy to -x, 2y. For number 11, you're going to start on the purple. You're going to subtract 1 for each, which slides it down to the red. You're going to dilate the x's, which makes it wider but not taller, and that's the green. And then you're going to rotate it 180 degrees around the origin, which gives you the blue. For number 12, you start with the purple, you send it down to the red, and then up and over to the green. Our next section looks at predicting the effect of transformation. So here we're looking at general moves. We're just kind of looking at what should we expect from the questions that we have. And this is a good way to help us double check our answers. For example, if we start with a triangle in quadrant 2, and it asks us to translate -2, 3, and then reflect across the y-axis and reflect across the x-axis, where should it end up? So let's just look at it in general, not very specifically, just if we translate x is -2, that means we're going to move it to the left 2 and then up 3. So that's going to put it farther into the quadrant 2. Then we're going to reflect it off the y-axis, which is going to put it in straight into quadrant 1, then reflect it off of the x-axis. That puts it in quadrant 4. Looking at this one, this asks us to rotate this 90 degrees clockwise about the origin, so it's about this dot, dilate by 2, so it ends up being 2x, 2y. Well, if we rotate this clockwise 1/4, that's going to put it in quadrant 4, and then it's going to ask us to get it bigger. So it's going to really take up quadrant 4, and whether or not it crosses the x or the y-axis depends on where it started. If it started within 2 of either of these lines, then it's going to cross, and if it didn't, then it won't. General ideas and the ability to describe what you're doing and how you're doing it. So I'd like you to stop here and try numbers 13 through 17. Pause and come back when you're done. So number 13, you start with an image that looks like this. You're going to reflect it across the y-axis, which puts this in this purple dotted line, and then you're going to translate it 5 over and 4 up, which is going to put your shape even farther up and over like this. Number 14, we're going to first start with a horizontal stretch of 3, 2, which means we're going to change x, but we're not going to change y, which means it's going to get longer. And then we're going to translate that whole shape up and over just a little bit. So it's going to end up right about here where the arrows end.